Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. In this video, we are going to talk about installment purchases. Okay, please expect to spend around 15 minutes in this video. So, in this video, we are going to just talk about the concept of installment purchases. There will be no example. Example will be discussed face to face. Okay, installment purchases is actually a purchases in which a down payment is made and the balance is settled by a series of regular payments. So regular payments here is the keyword for installment purchases. When there's installment purchases, there will always be a regular payment made. So it can be either monthly or weekly, usually. Alright, so in installment purchases, right, you will need to be clear on what is actually these terms mean. Right? We will discuss it later. What is installment price, what is cash price, what is total interest. So in installment purchases, we are going to cover these 4 topics. So the first one, interest charge based on original balance, interest charge based on reducing balance, unequal installment payments and repayment schedules, and finally Hire Purchase Act 1967. The first 3 here is actually talking about how the interest is being charged, right, in our installment purchases. And the final topic here will talk about the act that actually control the installment purchases that is happening in Malaysia. So interest charge based on original balance. So in a situation of interest charge based on original balance, right, like what we have discussed before in the topic of interest, the only interest that charge is interest based on original principal across time is simple interest. So basically, to calculate for this kind of interest, we are going to use simple interest formula. The other terms that have the same meaning as this, right, is actually charge based on original unpaid balance, charge based on simple interest rate, charge based on flat rate. I believe that you have heard of flat rate before. So when you being offered a flat rate things kind of charge, it actually talk about charge based on original balance. And in original balance, you need to be familiar with this term before you can make any calculation. So what is original balance? It is a balance on a principal after making a down payment. Whatever left after you making a down payment is called original balance. If let's say you are not making any down payment or zero down payment, so the cash price itself is actually the original balance. Installment price is the amount paid, total amount paid, which is cash price plus with the interest. So not just a cash price plus interest, total interest that you need to pay across all of the time. So that is called installment price, the total amount. Monthly payment, basically how much that you need to pay monthly, or it can be even be weekly, right? It depends on the agreement. So this is how to find the original balance. Cash price minus down payment. Is there any down payment? If that, let's say you don't have any down payment, as I said, 0. So the original balance will be equal to the cash price. And then next we have installment price. It is cash price plus total interest. So cash price, the price displayed at the store, plus with an extra amount of money that you need to pay when you actually do it in an installment manner. Or we can also say that it is a down payment, the initial payment that you made, plus with the amount of payment that you paid after that, total monthly payment. So that is also equal to installment price. Basically, it talks about a cash price plus with an extra amount of money that you need to pay. That is an installment price. And next we have monthly payment. So it talks about how much you need to pay monthly. So how to calculate it? Original balance, which is the amount of the price that you the balance after you make a down payment, plus with the total interest that actually you need to pay, over how many times the number of payment need to be made, how many months or how many weeks, depends. So by using that formula, you get a monthly payment or weekly payment. Next, we have interest charge based on reducing balance. What is the difference between these two? As I said, original balance actually use simple interest because as we discussed in the previous topic before, the interest that being charged on the original principal, it is simple interest, and the interest that being charged on the principal that is always changed, that is actually compound interest. It talks about reducing balance. So as you can see, the interest is charged on a reducing balance, which is in principle that is reduced across time after you make a payment, right? That is actually talk about compound interest. And when we say a compound interest that involve regular payment, what is it? Annuity. So basically, you will encounter annuity formula inside this subtopic. So we are going to have two methods, right? In calculating reducing balance, we have annuity methods and constant ratio formula. So annuity method, basically we are going to reuse a formula that we have used in annuity before, but the only one formula that we're going to use, which is present value formula. So basically they are going to give to us the present value or the amount of price that you need to make equal to the number of payment. Usually we are going to need to calculate this, the interest, the number of time that the payment need to be made, calculate this, and we are going to figure out what is the R, or in other words, what is the monthly payment that need to be made. And next we have constant ratio formula. Okay, basically this is a new formula for you. So R stands for the annual interest rate. Okay, basically by using this formula, you're always going to get an annual interest rate, or in other words, an effective rate. Alright, so M stands for 12 or 52, depending on what is the agreement of the installment. If it is monthly, it will be 12. If it is weekly, M will be 52. I here is a total interest charge for installment plan across the time. Right? It is a total interest that is going to be charged. We actually input it here, and then B, the original balance, and it's a number of installment that you're going to make. Okay, substitute all of this and you will get the annual interest rate using a constant ratio formula. And next, let's talk about an unequal installment payment. Right, when we say unequal installment payment, it means that you will actually get a payment that is not equal across time. It depends. It can be monthly, it can be weekly, as I said, but it will be unequal. The value will be unequal based on what? It is actually based on the interest. The interest that is not the same across time. So we'll see how actually it can happen. But basically, before you can actually be clear on how they calculate the interest and so on, you need to know that when the situation asks you for unequal installment payment, you don't have a specific formula that can calculate everything. Okay, you will actually need to construct a repayment schedule, just like what we did before in depreciation. Right, we have a schedule. So you are going to need to actually construct that kind of table before we can figure out what is actually the unequal installment payment for each month. Okay, this is how actually you construct the table. Basically, you are going to have these 5 columns. This one can be monthly or weekly, depend on the situation. And then you are going to need to put the principal payment, outstanding balance, interest charge, and monthly payment. Okay, so first let's try to look at the example. Let's say the outstanding balance is 3,600. The monthly principal payment is 600. Please take note, this is a principal. So this payment here is only for the principal value, which is the outstanding balance. So interest on outstanding balance is 1%. This is the interest that being charged. First, we need to figure out how many times that the payment need to be made to settle the outstanding balance. So we know that the monthly principal payment is 600. And the total amount is 3,600, the principal. So 3,600 over 600, 6 times. So 6 months. We are going to need to make a 6 times payment to settle the outstanding balance itself. That is just the outstanding balance, the principal. We are still not talking about interest yet, right? So that's why I put 600 across this 6 months. Okay, And the outstanding balance start with 3,600, right? 0 month, of course. We still haven't calculated as the first month. Okay, this is the starting point. And then let's try to calculate the outstanding balance and the principal payment. When you have made a payment of 600, so the balance will be 300. And after that, 600, 2,400. Another 600, subtract, you will get 1,800, and so on until the end. There will be no outstanding balance. And then interest charge, you have 36 here. Why? Because 1% out of outstanding balance. So 1% times with 3,600, 36. 1% times with 3,000, 30. 1% times with 2,400, 24. Until the end, 600 times 1%, you will get 6. So this is actually the interest charge for each month. And if you sum all of this, you will get the total interest charge. Okay, let's talk about the monthly payment. So what is the unequal payment that need to be made monthly? So for the first month, 600 plus with the interest, 36, you will get this. Second principal payment plus with the second interest value, you will get this. And so on so forth until the end. 600 plus 6, you will get 606. As you can see here, the monthly payment is unequal. Why? Because of the different value of interest charge. Why? Because of the different value of outstanding balance. So it is actually related to each other. That's why the monthly payment is unequal. But somehow, we can actually change this to make it equal. How? By using a formula that is identical to concern ratio formula. Okay, so how we are going to do it? As I said before, this when you sum all of this interest, you will get the total interest. So total interest plus with your initial loan or the outstanding balance, the principal, plus it together. So you will get the installment price over with the number of times that the payment need to be made, which is 6. That will give you 6 to 1. So rather than having to pay different value across the 6 months, now you can just pay 621 ringgit monthly. So now instead of unequal payment, it has now become equal payment. Next, let's talk about the Hire Purchase Act 1967. Okay, when we say Hire Purchase Act, it actually talks about an act that controls the hire purchase agreement in Malaysia. How does it control it? What actually it controls? So to talk about it, we need to talk about rule of 78, which is a rule that used to calculate the outstanding balance of hire purchase agreement. What is the importance of this rule, right? It said that it is based on the presumption in a hire purchase loan. Okay, in a presumption of hire purchase loan is that when you want to buy something, right, you don't have a money, so you want to make an installment. Basically, the shop will you will borrow money from somebody else or from some other institute, and then give that money to the shop. So basically, you still make a cash transaction to the shop, but it is actually not cash because you make a loan. Okay, so basically the loan is consisting finance charge or the interest plus principal. Let's say just now the value of that thing that you want to buy is 3,600. So you want to make an installment. Basically, you will not make a loan that is equal to 3,600. You should actually borrow more because there will be an interest later. So if a consumer decides to settle the loan early, what happens is that the lender is not entitled to all the interest. So basically, if let's say the agreement is to make a settle payment in 6 months, you have 6 times of interest. But then let's say you want to settle early within 3 months, so the lender will not be entitled to get all the next interest for the next 3 months. So basically, you will get a rebate. This is the formula. Okay, and we'll discuss on the formula later during the example. Okay, so thank you.